Malolele, half a day, welcome to the Pacific Way. The remote village of Tukuraki in the highlands of Fiji's main island was the first non-coastal village to be relocated after a massive landslide in 2012. Now, after 7 years living in a new location, the villagers have rebuilt their lives and have become a symbol of human perseverance in the hardest of times.
Ro, nagba mo na mga tiyaro. Mode turag. Mode.
Located on the western region of Fiji's main island Viti Levu, Tukuraki village was the first non-coastal village to be successfully relocated due to events linked to climatic anomalies. In 2012, a major landslide caused by unprecedented rainfall in the highlands of the Ba province made the old Tukuraki village inhabitable. The villagers were forced to temporarily relocate and sought shelter with relatives and friends. Their future seemed uncertain.
Kami avana baki rono dolu tini karua mona keme misa tuwe waki kinal leni koro leni matangali wasa ni bang butar wasaranga me keme mai so tatal ndo ngona keme sa tuwe waki sa leni matangali todok satu na be bano ngalala so sa rabe to kana be kortale so sa bang doni dona baka sama me ndo ngona me keme so taratali.
But as the saying goes, what doesn't break you only makes you stronger. It is that very resolve that has driven the people of Tukuraki to preserve their way of life. In August 2016, the Fiji National Steering Committee of the Building Safety and Resilience in the Pacific, or BSRP program, launched a project implemented by the Pacific community through funding provided by the European Union, which prioritized the construction of homes at the new village site at Tukuraki, which were in line with best practice disaster reduction strategies.
The Ministry of Rural Maritime Development and Disaster Management requested SPC for the assistance through the BSRP project if it could take up the funding to relocate Tukuraki, because that was an immediate need for relocation, because the Tukuraki community was first affected through a landslide way back in 2012, and then after the assessment from the Department of Mineral Resources, they were advised that the village was no longer safe to be occupied. Thus, villagers had to move to caves and other settlements to settle. So Tukuraki continued to become a priority project for government.
As part of the village relocation program, income-generating projects were also implemented.
We set up a chicken shed where they're able to breed chickens, and then the project will run on itself. We also created one fish pond that's up and running. So far they've harvested about 4 times already. And we also put up one beehive where it's producing honey. So these things they are also selling to the nearby villages as well. Those are the 3 income projects we just did to sustain the community while living in the new area, new village.
These projects helped build the foundations for food security within the village and also provide a source of income.
Ikitu marata sarangana vidana vika sholima vikitu ni wakame bure ni kavikitu mekitu ngailenga kitu shaharoni wasanga ina nitu kasa turawat ina kakidhimbi tungu na kaiba madala tagibikitu na tumbunika iseni bakasar me bultak balibu me bultak ke tuni bikitu me kemdu bultak kedanaika do mele otivina kano mundau tombu dongele buli tini katume na tau ngoe kani rawakina ni labu me maroroi ka katalenga ni no mundu kan.
In addition, the women of Tukuraki started a new venture. The women collect and hand-paint river rocks, which are then sold to tourists in Nandi. One of the major concerns for the villagers of Tukuraki was the fear of losing their culture and traditions.
Dinin sa tigona kora baba lagi. Kena be kasa bagaruta ki kenda. Non dei tobo menda ka kuni mele daba. Menda baga de wata tigo vira na lalai, vira na murimai. Non dei tobo. Bango na kene rai, bango na kene barau. Menda na lakaba tiunga. Be Italia na bono ndi la koba, Italia na bono bagaruta ki kenda menda lagi tiukina. Non dei tobo menda ka kuni mele daba.
The new village has also brought relief for the sick and the elderly.
Na kena binakike, na kena ndui lebu. Balita na kito sa pakabali binaka. Palailai, palisili, satu kedilo. Nandra kita sa wabina binaka. Sangkai laut talimena wanilina na waini munu. Mbagu kito sa wabina binaka kina. Wiki mundo na matanito. Siki mundo na tambana. Dobyong karabitiyo.
For the children, this means not having to walk long distances to get to school or to the health center. The plight of the people of Tukuraki and their successful relocation also presented an opportunity of a lifetime for the village headman. Their experience was shared on the world stage as Simeone was invited to the first people's convening on climate force displacement, which was held in Alaska in October 2018.
Bambuta na bulu kutamia na maroroi ni umbula wana buni kau na kakiko ndabarai that viti mandanga mengi dhagabo indona nganishal singindona kai maroroi na kau na dha katabila tagisharanga mushu na kau ya elibuna kai sholia mai na dhangi mbula na kakana na wai singili wasarabatu ndatui alaska eron lagoton nanganushala vandodon sartunga nendona buni kau lebe bango nang.
The Tukuraki relocation project is now considered a major success in terms of climate change-related relocation. The lessons learned stand as an example for future relocation projects.
Overseas countries, even the European Union, it undertook the project as one of its key success stories around globally in terms of climate change. The Turangani Koro invited to this one workshop in Alaska to share the experience of the relocation, and continuously school children, visitors, non-government organizations, charitable organizations, they continue to come. They're still coming to Tukuraki now to actually see the project and its success.
Welcome back. You're watching The Pacific Way. In this episode, we take you around the region to explore the difficulties and challenges member countries face on an annual basis, and how the Pacific Community's Building Safety and Resilience in the Pacific program is working with governments, communities, and partner agencies to find long-term sustainable solutions.
If you look back 10, 15 years ago, cyclone was always the major disaster, and now there's a mixture of disasters happening around. So we get the cyclones, we get the fires, we get the tsunami call-outs.
Like any other Pacific Island country, it's faced with a number of natural hazards, including cyclones, flooding, even volcanic eruptions, landslides, as well as tsunamis.
For us, it's sea level inundation or storm surges, drought, floods, tidal surges, and coastal erosions, and then of course typhoons or storms.
So we are quite exposed to cyclones, flooding of the low-lying areas, drought, seismic activities like earthquakes, and also tsunami is quite a big risk for us. Also exposed to volcanic eruptions, as well as underwater activities and eruptions.
And now we are slowly going into the drought now. The other major disaster is coastal inundation.
When it comes to El Nino, then we usually have the drought. But after El Nino, it comes the La Nina, where we have inundations and high storm and all these, and we've been experiencing that for the past 3 years.
Based on the geolocation of Nauru, where it is, right on the equator line, our most threat would be droughts. Like, for example, when we had the longest drought, it was almost like more than 3 years. That was during the previous El Nino. There was actually no water, no rain, and we had to rely on other countries to import water, drinking water for the island.
We are listed down as the most prone country in the world to all natural hazards. So we are exposed to almost everything.
For us in the Cook Islands is cyclone and drought. This is followed by health issues like dengue fever, and recently we had fruit flies, so to deal with agriculture.
We are located close to the trench, and therefore earthquakes are regular. So when you look at major disasters happening in the country, you basically talk about all of them.
Major disaster in Timor-Leste, one is the flooding, drought, strong wind, earthquake, tsunami.
The tropical cyclones, flooding. We also have earthquake and tsunamis. We have droughts, landslides, fire. It can be bushfire and other forms of fire.
We are implementing activities with the NDMO by building provincial disaster offices in 3 provinces. Also equipping the services with boats and vehicles. We also assisted the fire service by shipping, looking at freights for 2 donated fire trucks from ACT, Fire Services. There's also a roadmap being developed under the project for the emergency services in Vanuatu, and development of the Draft Fire Act to see where we could go with our fire services, and also looking at buying a drilling rig for the Department of Water.
One of the major ones that we have for the country right now is the relocation of Tukuraki, actually a village in the interior of Ba. SPC, through the BSRP project of the European Union, they came on board and provided the needed funding to help that community. There are many more, the provision of water tanks throughout our divisions, also the work that is currently being done on trying to improve the Emergency Operations Center at the national level, and also at the divisional and some at the subdivisional level.
We were able to provide like 217 water catchment to the outer islands that were affected during the drought. Also, water catchment to 22 households that were totally and partially damaged during the inundation that we had.
Establishing our Island Disaster Committee, and this is part of our National Disaster Risk Management Plan, the operational structure. Improving the response activities by our stakeholders like the police, helping them getting fire trucks, integrating the disaster risk management in the syllabus or the curriculum.
So we were able to purchase a fire truck, and this fire truck was able to deal with the bushfires that we did have. The other major project that we're working on at the moment is the Emergency Operations Center.
Based on Nauru's priority under BSRP, we've decided to have the National Emergency Center erected as a whole building. And within that building, we also had this meteorology station.
When we now have this technology and material, we got the LiDAR survey done, we have modelings. So when those informations are given to us, One of the most important things that we did at the time to share with our leaders. The challenge is always that to get to the other end of the equation, to the community. These are the challenges that we need to make sure that these people are aware of the situation that we are in. And I think that PSRB has allowed us to communicate, and we are going. This will be an ongoing process.
We're doing some coastal projects, some areas that have eroded, building capacity of communities, educating them on the different risks or hazard risks that we face in the FSM.
Through the BSRB project, we will construct evacuation center into municipality.
Well, crucial to our operation is actually looking at reviewing our National Disaster Risk Management Plan, and this of course has been funded by the BSRB project, and even crucial to that is actually working along with the leading agencies of the various hazards, and also defining who are the leading agencies and who are the supporting agencies. What kind of training are we looking at in trying to enhance their services? Some of the projects are, they can be achieved within probably a couple of months, and some projects are maybe a year or so.
Design and management construction of a National Joint Warning Center, National Emergency Operations Center, which also hosts the National Disaster Management Office. Enhancing local level early warning system by using simplified rain gauges and flood gauges. So we have identified about 20 communities, and we are installing these simplified rain and flood gauges in these communities.
It's a big challenge when we don't have the right resources, but when there are projects in this nature available, it's a very good opportunity for us to bridge the gaps here and there and allow us to communicate to our communities. It's a heartfelt appreciation to the organization and everyone involved in these projects.
Unfortunately, that is all we have time for tonight, but we'll leave you with a show-stopping performance from the renowned Rapa Nui dancers at the Festival of Pacific Arts in the Solomon Islands. Don't forget, you can check out the latest news and videos on the Pacific Community YouTube channel and the Pacific Way Facebook page. Until next time, tofa soifua, mahalo, and tokisio.